1968, they designed and built the first artificial ice track in the planet, just outside the town of Berchtesgaden in deepest Bavaria. We're here at Königssee for the third stop in the BMW IBSF two-man bobsleigh World Cup Tour. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Martin Haben and John Morgan joining the crowds trackside at this historic German venue, John, which has still got a sting or two in the tail.
Yeah, this is a very challenging track, but the crowds here, this is a very experienced sliding sports audience here in Königssee. For all the sliding sports, bobsled, luge, skeleton, we've had some great racing to date. And now the two-man bob, Man Bobsleigh and Bobsleigh owns the start record up here. Very flat start, long run, in and down. The entrance to this first curve right here, I'll be commenting on it. You can be violent in there, lose a lot of your speed, and you need the speed because now you got 4 S's in here. The Schlagergruber, which is the snake pit. 4 straight curves that you got this change of direction. Now this long straightaway, the bend around that the Americans call it, is not straight. It's almost like a chicane, and now into a big turbodrome, this big 300 or 280 degree whip around and down to the challenge into the labyrinth. This is where the sleds, the articulation is really maxed out. And the 2 more big curves, Echo Wand. Now you go uphill. Boy, you have to be perfect in this last 150-meter section of uphill because you can lose a lot of time, even in the finish curve right there. Real easy to get down, short, less than 50 seconds. Bad hefty. Thomas Lamparter got the record from 2011. This record, we've seen the track records go in men's skeleton and women's bob. We could see him go again here tonight, or today.
February 2011, the World Championships. That's when that record was set. Same with skeleton, and both of those were shattered. Francesco Friedrich, Oskars Melbardis, and Yun Jung-won, the top 3 in the World Cup standings, and they finished in that order in each of our 2 races so far this season. The only sport in which the podium has remained unchanged from Altenburg through Winterberg. But now Königssee, maybe that will throw a little wrinkle in the works. 30 sleds in the entry from 18 nations, including a debutante from Norway, who will be one of our, or he will in fact be our last sled. Well, everybody else contemplating what might happen next. Max Arndt probably looking forward to Sunday and 4-man day as much as anything else. Torsten Margis there with Francesco Friedrich. They have been the start. And they've been a sensation down the track from start to finish. There is the youngest ever bobsled world champion, Francesco Friedrich, and Yun Jung-won and the Koreans really coming on strong. Can't be long before they finally win a race. Well, our start list is long and features athletes from 18 different countries. Oskars Kibermanis, Virus Leiboms, the start record holder, Melbardis, with behind him not Oskars Dambis, but Daumans Dreskins. He goes off 3rd. But the man that they're all going to have to beat, you sense, will be Francesco Friedrich. He goes 2nd. So 20 sleds go through into the final run, which means from 21 on down, Bruce Tasker down to the Norwegians. They've all got to beat a whole host of others to get into the field.
Well, the first 2 really good athletes we're going to see here this afternoon. Latvians, no surprise, Martin.
No, in a field of huge athletes, these are 2 guys who really pull their own weight. Oskars Melbardis, the driver.
Kibermanis.
Kibermanis, rather, the driver. Virus Leiboms behind him.
Yeah, and the start record here, 4.77. Ooh, they got a little bit of a bump there, 483. Watch him in the first curve, pretty smooth. We saw a lot of women's athletes hit that first curve with a lot of violence because they get on too early. Violence isn't good for your speed. Here's the 4 S's. He hangs on there. He's got a skid going.
The track is like glass today. It has been record pace all weekend. Very different from training. And this Kreisel, the 3rd pressure, and the exit are absolutely critical to speed. If you're late like he was, you hit everything in sight.
Speed in the left. Uphill section right here, 121 kilometers an hour, 75.3, 100 miles per hour, 50.11. That is 33 hundredths off the pace, and I still think the track record has got a chance to fall.
That was nothing like clean, was it? And look at him, he knows it. Big mistake off the Kreisel.
22-year-old driver. Now watch him come out here a little too early and watch the tap on the left side, and that just forces him over into the right, and he's skidding. The whole sled is skidding. Now watch the back end come airborne. This isn't how to do it, but there's not a lot of people that get through there clean. And if you do get through there clean, you could have a track record.
Yeah. Oh boy, if you get through those doodles clean, then the world opens up for you. Yep.
Young Kiebermanis. He's young and he's got a lot of future in front of him.
So is this man, 25-year-old now, Francesco Friedrich, junior world champion in 2013, senior world champion in 2013 and 2015.
Watch this start. 41, 7,800 point decathlete on the back. There's probably 15 athletes in the field that are decathletes, and this is the highest scoring decathlete on the back of this sled.
Such a potent combination at the start.
Ooh, clean, hardly touched. Look at these lines. Now watch the speed. Can't see the speed.
1:17.3 he had going into the Kreisel.
Smooth. 40/100s. The track record's in jeopardy. He keeps this up.
25. You're
track record, maybe. He's going to be close to. Oh yeah, this is track record all the way. He's going to beat it by 2 or 3 tenths.
49.79, half a second clear. 49.29.
How much lower? You know, the skeleton did it by 6,200ths. The men's and women's skeleton, the women's bob did it. Now these guys do it by 6 tenths. There's,
And that's just their sighting lap.
And he's, you know, besides having the best start in the competitions, he now has the great driving ability. Look at the choreography on ice, as we call it, and perfect, no drift like we saw Kiebermanis. Now look at the Kreisel lines. See, he comes down a little bit, he finds his mark where he turns right there. You could see the sled adjust, and he rockets out of the Kreisel, the bottom part of the track, to a, he's just 6 tenths better than the track record. How much longer can they keep going?
And that track record set in the World Championships, February 2011. The track was never faster. It was never faster than that weekend, and they're now half a second clear. And there's one more run to go when the track will only get quicker. Next up, Oskars Melbardis, Daumans Treiskens. Melbardis and Intos Dambis are the start record holders. Can a nearly fully fit Treiskens lower that start
he's got
record?
it. Look at his right ankle taped up. He's got an Achilles problem. So I don't.
And yet he's still their number one.
Probably 482, 483. I can't see him getting better. He's wounded. At 90%, he's still better than almost anybody in the field. 45, that's expected. Good third best speed. Look at him get into that first curve. I didn't like that angle. The speed's already down 8. That's relative to the start. But he should be better than his teammate, Kiebermanis.
Good exit.
Oh, 8 to 7.
Beautiful stuff.
That's not good, though.
Skidding out. Yep.
Speed, 116.8. That's not the 117.
And 125.4 down at the bottom. That's insane speed. That's 80 miles an hour nearly.
Well, this is good speed in the bottom.
Could be very close from 1600s.
He might get it down to 10 or 12, but still, that's within striking distance. 19, lost a little bit more in the bottom, but Friedrich, I think we just have to say he had a perfect run.
3 tenths inside the old track record. Yeah. And he's still.
Look at, he's shaking his head.
Behind.
And you know, this is the start monsters. These guys used to own the track record, the start record on almost every track, but they're the brakeman. You know, Treiskens is a little hurt. And look at the size. Look at the size of those two guys. And look at the runner tips here.
Well, off the S's, it looked like a great exit, but it just drifted over to the right.
He got on the wrong side, and then he tried to get over here, and this is where the drift started.
Yeah. The skid comes after the impact
bang,
with the wall.
2 bangs, then the 3rd bang, and then there's a 4th bang, and then there's a 5 banger. 3 bangs is all you want through there. He knows it.
Yep. Mistake off the S's or a mistake off the Kreisel will bury your time. The Latvians, though, with plenty to cheer about still.
They had 3 sleds in the top 6 last week, the Latvians did.
Rico Pater having a stunning season with Thomas Amrine behind him this weekend. Bert Hefty and Thomas Lamparter were the record holders for Switzerland. Lamparter's here this weekend, not competing. He's coaching the Swiss women.
491. No, not bad. This is expected, but Rico has been fast. Fast sleds in 2 and 4. He doesn't have smooth runs, but he's fast. Look at this. This can't be fast. That's as bad as a mistake as we're going to see in the top 10 sleds.
Yeah, that's as horrible as you like. 2 tenths down, going onto the Kreisel. And from here, 4 tenths back, he'll be 6 tenths back at the line.
And his time is buried because of the mistake on the exit of the snake pit. He got bit by the snake pit.
Yeah, he did. And that shows just how glassy the track is. In training, when it was warmer and it rains, they'd have had the grip that would have stopped it sliding around.
For all the problems he just had, he has the 3rd best time. He beat Keeper Mattis, and Keeper Mattis beat him by 800ths at the start. Yeah. So, I mean, he hits everything in sight, and he's still pretty quick.
Quick sled, the Citius sled.
Look at the runner tips. Comes off too early, and this is how not to do it.
Just driving the sled just drives straight at the wall, and he tries not to adjust.
And then down here in the chicane, look at the back end of the sled. Wait till you see the 4-mans go through there tomorrow.
I tell you what, you want to try picking up Thomas Amrine, you can't do it like that. Not easy. That's a lot of violence in those S's.
A lot of Swiss here. Swiss have always done well this track.
So has Yun Jung Won done well this season. Won the Korean with Young Wo Seo behind him on the brakes. Bronze medal in the 2 races that open the season. And bear in mind, these guys do not really know these European tracks.
Well, look at the size of these boys. They're a little bit larger than they were 4 or 5 years ago when we first got a piece of them. Weightlifting, powerlifting, and they are strong. Medals in the first 2 events of the season, the first Korean medals ever in bobsledding, and this event televised live in Korea. Bobsledding now live in Korea.
Never off the podium.
Yeah, 2 events, historic medals, and the skeleton athlete won a bronze medal this morning. The men's skeleton, so the Koreans are well positioned to do quite well at their Olympics.
Look at that, here we go. From a 1/3 of a second back, that great exit off through the lower labyrinth could bring him right back into contention.
He's going to chase down
Rico Peter. Oh, just behind him, 400 away.
They expected him to do a little bit better than that, but still it's a great result.
Yeah,
man.
Still got a second heat as well. If he tidies up the bend away, like Rico Peter, that will give him a 1/4 of a second more at the line.
Look at how large these guys are. The muscles on them from 2 years ago to now. They have been doing some powerlifting, and this skid right here, you can see him adjust the runners a little bit.
Yeah. See, that shows his development as a driver. He's making those tiny little twitches just to try and stop the tail sliding away. Francesco Friedrich by 1900ths from Oscars Melbardis. Rico Peter lies 3rd. 5 of 30 sleds down here. Next up, Alexander Kasyanov with Alexei Pushkarev behind him. And the Russian #1 needs to find a big result before Christmas to try and keep the team motivated.
Gives up a little time here at the start. Doesn't have great start speed. 10th and 9th the last 2 competitions, and 6 out of 6. But very capable driver. 4th at the Sochi Games in both the 2 and the 4, finishing 300s each race behind Stephen Holcomb of the United States. He is Russia 1.
Now, that's not a bad run down the bend away.
5 hits though.
Let's see what this does for him. He was in 6th place as he came off the S's. 116 the speed through the Kreisel. That's pretty decent.
Good exits onto the Echo Wand. Top speed, 3rd time. Considering the 6th best start time, he's got the 3rd best speed in the bottom, and he finishes 5th. You know, his race He got beat. He got blown away at the start by 21 hundredths by Friedrich. Only lost by 61 on the bottom. But he's within 9 hundredths of Juan. And Juan beat him by 16 hundredths. So good drive down the track, but Kasanoff. But this is where, look how high he is here. I'm very surprised. You know, Pierre Luder's technique usually has him a little bit lower on the sled. Here he's getting a little bit lower now. But he's on the right side here. See if he taps. So he's got to drive away a little bit. I think he had a wrong entry into the first curve. And here, comes out a little early. Remember, Friedrich came down here like Ducars did in the skeleton sled.
Yeah. Well, the back was driving the sled there for Kasyanov. Next up is Justin Cripps. Alex Kopac's behind him. So Cripps trying to regain the form that 2 years ago saw him as a race winner in two-man.
Yeah, his first ever gold medal on this track. He medaled here last year, I think, in the World Cup here in January, too. So the international man of mystery, the guy who owns 3 passports. Let's see if he's get a start time within 587, 588, be good. 588. Pretty quiet first curve. Speed, decent. G-forces fluctuate here in these S's. Most important thing, always the rudder tips here.
Now that is as good an exit as you'll see. Tiny little drift.
3 hits, that's the
mandatory. Only 15 hundredths off the lead. 116 kilometers an hour is not the best, but it's good enough.
Exit here, nice. It's the back end. A little air.
Little bump. If he's in 125s, he could challenge the top 3.
He's got decent speed here. He is going for a top 3. That tap's going to hurt him badly. 4th best speed. Oh, and he's really early on the finish curve.
Third at the line. That's a good run. That's a man who's won a race on this track in the last couple of seasons. There's something about this place that works for Justin Cripps. I don't suppose he could put his finger on what it is.
Yeah, he surprised a lot of people a couple years ago, January 2014, when he won the last event of the season before the Olympic Games, and bronze medal again last year. And
well, Kopac's, we heard yesterday,
he got a broken visor there.
Had lost a push-off to Tim Randall. But he's on the back of the sled, and a big start and a great drive from Justin Cripps.
Look how high he gets here in this finish curve. Look at the airborne. He almost tipped over there.
Nearly rolled it.
What was that, Justin?
He's looking at that going, wow, I didn't think they were that close. Great stuff from our team here, IBSF TV. Next up, Ugo Salims and Intar Stambis for Latvia. We have Latvian sleds currently lying 2nd and 7th. Can he get in amongst them?
Good start. Speed, 3rd best speed, 6th best start. That means they had a great entry into the sled. And now they take on these 4 corners that we call the snake pit, 4 S's. Now the rudder tips. He's got 1 hit, and he's in the skid, 2 hits, 3, 4. That's 1 more than you're supposed to have. This is quiet here. Latvian sleds, 3 in the top 6 last week. Boy, those are some good lines there.
Here we go, 5th.
High there.
Climbing up the
big
order.
Speed.
127, 128. That's the fastest sled we've seen by a margin. He'll be 3rd, 4th, 6th.
6, what was that?
Wow.
So that was weird. I don't know if I trust that speed, but
yeah,
because he was behind all the way at the clocks, but the speed on the bottom, he did move up a little bit in the bottom.
Speed in the Kreisel was exceptional as well, so it might just be that
he got
really
beat up top.
Something.
He lost some time here.
Yeah.
Lost some big time there.
Rear sliding down the straightaway as he tries to sort it out. And here in Echo Avant, high line, and then uses the exit to keep the speed on board.
You know, there's the speed in the bottom part of that track, and boy, it's everything. It's uphill here. 6th last week.
6th again at the moment. About 8 of our top 10 in the world down so far. 9th and 10th are 2 more German sleds. Nico Walter up next. A 4th and a 7th place finish in two-man. He's one of the few drivers that is better in a 4-man than a 2.
6'7", Marco Huckenberger on the back. It's the kind of start time he can give the former luge athlete. Look how quick that big man is in the back of that sled. Wow. Now,
look how invisible he is as well.
Now, Nico Walter was third the last 2 weeks in 2-man bobsled after the first heat. And both second runs, he just was crushed. And his attitude has been crushed, too. He's very disappointed in his efforts. The second-year German driver who finished second in the World Championships in 4-man bobsled last year.
That was a good run down the bend away, but he's still in 8th position.
3/10 back. Ooh, not perfect. Well, his nemesis is the start time. He's got the 8th best start of 9 sleds.
Up to 4th now on the splits. Here we go.
2800s back.
3rd place ahead of Cripps, challenging Mel Bardis, and
wow,
3rd place it is.
Same thing he's done. Look at on the right, was Francisco Friedrich sitting there with Christoph Lang and looking on, but this is the same position he was in the last 2 weeks. In both second runs, he sort of wasn't perfect and fell out of the medals.
There's Hubie behind him, his giant of a brake man.
Giant. I mean, the guy is huge. And look at these exits here. Look at the crossover. This is perfect out of the, like you would expect a German on his track. Now watch him negotiate. Watch the back end. He's sliding right there. Does the back end get air?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of sliding there. Sliding into 3rd place. That's what that was.
So there is Nico Walter.
Ready
Not
to the right.
Room to improve, and that's always a good thing in the second heat. And what about his teammate Max Arndt here? Arndt's got another giant behind him, Kevin Kuska, a year away, recuperating from injury last season. Kuska looks as much as of an animal as he ever has.
6'4", 245 pounds. Might be. Look how quickly he gets in, buries himself. You know, the start, he's got the 8th best start. Like his teammate Walter, doesn't get great starts. This is the 4-man world champion, multiple world champion. Sort of uses the 2-man as a warm-up for 4-man because he doesn't get the start that he needs, but his driving abilities, take a look at that.
That's a good line.
2, that's normal. Watch the exit here. Find a way into the chicane and just get the runner tips. Nice. Back
Still
end.
in 8th place, but that's a really good line. That can vault him into the top 4, surely. He'll be chasing down Nico Walter. They're only a couple of hundreds away at the start.
Up to 6th, 7th best speed. Not good speed at the bottom here. Surprised.
Yeah.
6th. Right behind Nico Walter by 300ths. Head of Juan by 100th only. 8th best start in the competition.
Started 100th quicker than Nico Walter, but Walter came down 2800ths off the lead, and Arndt 5100ths off the lead.
Boy, he had beautiful lines. Well, look at the big man in the back, okay? 6'4", 245 pounds. And watch this guy. Watch his arms. Watch the technique here. Watch his arms perfect. Watch him come on. Look at the size of those arms.
I know. His fingertips are nearly on the ice, aren't they, when he sits down? Mind you, your backside is as well, so that's not so much of a surprise. So Max Arndt didn't find the pace that teammate Nico Walter did. Francesco Friedrich leads from Oscar's Melbardis, Walter in 3rd. 10 of 30 down, so now there's a 50% chance of making the race. We got 20 sleds and 10 spots left in which to get in. First to attempt it is Nick Cunningham. What a day he had last Saturday. Start draw number 22, 16th after the first heat, 4th after the second. That's what he needs right now.
Brakeman, McGruff. Rookie, former running back, University of Michigan, transferred into Rice. Played the Canadian Football League for Winnipeg a year ago right now. 10th best start. Last weekend they had the 8th best start. And it surprised a lot of people when he moved from like 9th or 10th to 4th in the second run. But with that start, he's going to need perfect exits of the S's. Runner tips got to be perfect here. That's not bad. The boy's 3,300s down.
That's
one more hit.
Down the
Bang.
bend away.
115 speed.
114.2. Okay, not too bad.
Needs another. Can't be airborne with the back end of the sled coming up. Watch the back end.
Through the doodles. There we go. Top 6 potential.
Still 10.
It's 122, 123.
Doesn't have an 8th best speed. He'd be lucky to get in the top 10.
Could get ahead of Ugas Salims.
He does. That's not bad. 10th best start, 8th best at the bottom. He's only 400s from Max Arndt, only 200s from the 300s from the Korean sled Juan. So another chance to move up. He's only 900s behind Rico Peter in 5th. So
well, his season so far, 19th in Altenburg, 4th in Winterberg.
Heavy hit though here.
Yeah.
Tip. Listen. Well, you can't listen here, but look at see the sled. See the way the sled moved back and forth. The articulation.
Couple of big hits down the bend away, and that takes away a lot of speed.
Well, his second heat he's going to need to do it again.
Chris Spring with Derek Plug behind him. This is Spring's only drive this weekend, hoping to have a 4-man crew so he can contest the 4-man races as well in North America.
21st in Altenburg, very disappointing. 11th last week, so he rebounded a little bit. Moved himself up the leaderboard.
Well, he was completely overhauled last season by his teammate Justin Cripps from being Canada 1 for the previous 2 years. Cripps just drove right by him, and Spring lost his mojo completely. This year seems to have the smile back.
Runner tips, not good. That's too early. And now he's going to struggle all the way to the bottom to try and find the speed line.
Bad-looking line.
That's late.
Just about gets away with it, but it's not going to add much speed. Down to 11th, down to 12th spot now on the split times.
Just didn't have it going in the 2 pivotal parts of the track, the exit of the Snake Pit and the exit of Kreisel, the Turbodrome. Look at the coaches. Stefan Bosch on the left, the former German, living in Canada for the last 12 years. And Tom Delahunty, the 5-year coach for Great Britain, from Great Britain, has been coaching the Canadians. And look at Chris Spring. You can tell he's too high here. Look at the way the sled dives out. He got in there late and had to steer hard to come off. And look at the run. He's trying to correct. And that's not how you want to accelerate on the exit of those 4S curves. Boy, there's probably not on the track where there's so many replays. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Jun Young-won of Korea now with Junglin Jun behind him. These guys in 12th in the World Cup standings. They're going to try and break into the top 10.
Live on Korean TV. First time ever, this event. They don't get as good a start time as their teammates. Very technical, the way they approach this sport. We talked about how dominant the Koreans are in women's golf and men's golf. They've got top players in the PGA Tour. Well, they approach bobsledding with that same technical instinct. I think there's a lot of similarities with the consistency. In the 4 or 5 years we've seen them in the sport, boy, have they improved. And they have positioned themselves well for medals. Again, another medal skeleton this morning for men's skeleton for Korea.
That's not a bad exit. That's a pretty decent run from Kim. Keeps the speed on board. 12th at the start. He's up to 11th, challenging Alexander Kasyanov to push the Russian out to the top 10.
Good speed, 7th best speed.
Will he do it? 11th, just a few hundreds behind Kasyanov. And 200ths of a second in front of Oskars Kibermanis.
BTC sleds. Okay, the exit of Kreisel, one of the 2 pivotal parts of the track, and he gets out there too early, forces him over to the right side of the, now he's skidding. Now watch the way the sled skids left to right. It's not going forward here. Now watch it come up. Watch the front end of the sled here. Ooh, now he's airborne. Look at the back end skidding. That's at 75 miles an hour. Look at, he's beating himself up.
Yeah. Second of our Swiss sleds, Bert Hefty with Andre Höppli behind him. Until this morning, Hefty and Thomas Lamparter were the track record all-time holders. Lamparter up the top yesterday, coaching the Swiss women. Hefty still competing.
11th and 17th in his first 2 events. The 14th best start. This is the guy that was the best starting brakeman in the world with Martin Annan.
Well, he's the last of that generation, isn't he? Annan and all the guys like Lamparter, Cedric Grand.
He medaled in 2002 and 6 as a brakeman for the Swiss in Salt Lake and then in Torino, and then dominated when he came out driving because he had this monster start time, but without a start time, Biet is relegated to double digits, and it's not the bad Hefty.
It's a nice line.
Accustomed to.
Could be challenging the top 10 from here. The Swiss City sled of Rico Peter lies 5th. It had great speed at the bottom. Hefty in the top 12, 11th, 50.05, 400s ahead of Kim of Korea.
Well, when you got the 14th best start, you come down 11th, you drove well.
Yep. And you know, in his career, he's seen Martin Annan disappear, Cedric Grand, Thomas Lamparter, all 3 Rugs.
Oh, the Rugs.
You know, there's
not a lot left in Switzerland.
So much of Swiss bobsledding has come and gone while we've been watching this man compete on the back and then on the front.
Yep.
Like Christoph Langen, you know, you start off as a young brakeman and then become a driver and continue to keep yourself in. You see an awful lot of history while you're still competing. Nikita Zakharov, the second of our Russian sleds now. Alexander Kasyanov, his teammate. The team leader lies in 10th place. He has a good run. Zakharov definitely capable of matching that kind of performance. There's not much between the Russians at the moment.
th place last week in Winterberg. He did not compete in Altenburg in the first run. That's why he's relegated to 19th in points. Start 15. Pretty hard hit into the curve 1, not smooth. And with that start time on this track, he has to have absolutely the perfect lines. We've seen only one sled do that. And that's not perfect, it's not bad. Just light tap.
Only 3 sleds have started in the 5s. Zakharov, his teammate, and Bert Hefty. None of them could crack a 4.
It's a lot of time to give up.
And think about who the fastest pushers were 5 or 6 years ago. Always the Russians, always Hefty. And now they're the slowest.
Guy with the second best start, Kiko Manis at 13. He was the first man down the track. That tells you how bad of a drive he had.
That was
14th.
A bit of a shocker for Zakharov.
Well, you know, 15th best start, and he's in 14th place like he was in the field last week in Winterberg, so there's really no changes. And, you know, I bet you he stays there. I don't see anybody else really challenging him. Holcomb coming up next, but oh, look at the runner tips.
Well, you only need a good run out through the doodles here, and suddenly
Watch the
you
back
can be
end of the
all over
sled,
them.
airborne. These are 2-mans. Where do you see the 4-man bombs?
Based on what happened last weekend, Rudy Rinaldi and Monaco, if he has a good run, Batazza of Italy, they're not going to catch the leader, Francesco Friedrich, but the battle to make the field now is what's up.
Here we go, Frank, come on.
Stephen Holcomb, 16th out of 30 sleds. After him, there'll only be 4 more spots in the race. This is a really vital drive for Holcomb.
Looks like he's running a little bit better. He's got that quad injury. Frankie Del Duca on the back. 15th best start. Boy, is he buried now. And
well, as you say, Holcomb with that leg injury all season long.
He's just trying to get his points in. His brakeman, Del Duca, former track and field athlete, University of Maine, the Black Bears. This is his debut in the 2-man event. Boy, Holcomb just 3 hits.
13th place, though. That will be enough to see him safely into the second heat. If he nails the exit here, and he does, could be top 10. There's real potential here for Holcomb to fly.
He likes this track. Won on this track a couple years ago on the 4-man.
Another good line. Top 10.
Top 10
How
speed.
high will he climb? Holcomb in 8th place. That's exactly what he needs to go home to Christmas with.
100th ahead of his teammate, Cunningham and McGuff.
There you go. Only 300s behind one of Korea.
Well, that's got to be
400s behind
encouraging.
Arndt.
For Holcomb, that's got to be encouraging.
Look, covering from 5th to 10th, there's like 600, 700s of a
yeah,
second.
he could get himself up into a top 5. Look at the lines here for the Olympic bronze medalist in two-man bob in Sochi. A little bit of a skid there coming down the
just a tiny push away, whereas Cunningham had several big hits.
His most positive heat of the season.
There you go, absolutely. Well, next up, Monaco. Rudy Rinaldi made his first World Cup start with Boris Van behind him last week. And boy, what a result these guys pulled off.
Boris in the back, another rugby player in the field. Huge man, watch his arms come by. His arms didn't come up like we saw Kevin Kuska.
Where did he finish last weekend, Rudy Rinaldi? In 16th place in
which is pretty good. 3/10 back already. Now he needs, the perfect lines. The exit here and the 4 S's. The snake pit, what's it look like?
Good
pretty
exit.
Good.
He's in 13th place at the moment, and that will see him into the second heat.
4 taps, G-forces. A couple different points where that G-force gets up over 4.
Key exit, and he's got that pretty smooth.
Not bad, not great though.
14th.
Not as smooth as Holcomb was. Speed on the bottom, it's pretty good from this Bruno Manchon sled.
Still in 14th place.
That's not bad though.
At 13th of the line, that's a really good run.
Yeah, when you beat the Latvians and one of the Russian sleds, Rudy Rinaldi, the bronze medalist in the World Junior Olympics in 2012 in Innsbruck, bronze medal, so he's starting to show some promise. The back end of the sled, though, a little late here. Watch the back end get airborne, and that's 10/15 hundredths of clock down there, maybe 10 hundredths at the bottom.
Tied with one of Korea for 13th spot.
It's pretty good.
Yep. Next up is another who should be in the top 20, Alexei Stulnev. There is a lot of action still to come.
Well, this Russian here, again, crashed in Altenburg in 4-man training. Had 6 stitches in his leg. He took 3 or 4 steps in both the 2 and the 4 in Altenburg. Winterberg, he got to be a little bit better. Now the stitches are out of the leg, and he says he's almost fully healed. It's his right leg had the stitches.
Yeah, he stopped wearing the pad, hasn't he? So it didn't really do any massive muscle damage. It was just a big gash.
Look how low he is in the sled. Oh, he hit the take-on hard, though. Down the left side of that straightaway on our screen, right side for him. And now the 4 S's. Let's see if he can exit with the slingshot effect.
Good exit, but a little skid. Got it under control.
That's really good. Just 2.5 hits. Speed, not great. Going late in the heat, though. So let's see if he can get down here without the back end of the sled going airborne.
13th spot on the split times.
This is really good lines.
This could be top 10.
Pretty good speed.
123 is very good.
8th best speed. Yeah, this ice is all chopped up.
11th
this is
place,
pretty good.
10th at the line. 12th.
Not bad. He's right behind his teammate Kasanov. So the Russians 100th apart from each other. Pierre Luder's walked out of the screen so quickly. So for the Russians not to be in the top 10, they've got a rough start to the season until they're back.
The Americans are 100th apart, and the Russians are 100th apart from each other.
The lines in the Turbodrome, the Kreisel. Let's see him look for his point. Now watch the top of the sled here. Now watch it dive here on the right. This is when he slight squeeze to exit. See him come down, and the exit here on the bottom part of the track provides a lot.
Well, here's another driver who could well be firmly inside the top 20, Simone Bertazzo of Italy. He's got Simone Fontana behind him. And for a driver who's more renowned as a 2-man driver, actually, he's had 2 good 4-man races this season.
Well, he hopes to do as good as his teammate did this morning in Skeleton. 8th place for the Italian.
Gaspari,
yeah, that was awesome.
He had.
Great for Italian skeleton. And you want that. You need the Italians are a famous country in our sliding sports and bobsled. Eugenio Monti, Zardini, Gunter Huber, who's the coach now, won the Olympic gold medal in Nagano in '98. Bertazzo is like the last man standing and really hasn't won a medal in the World Cup Tour since 2009. last World Championship medal. He had a bronze at St. Moritz in 2007. Here's good lines. I mean, he's got the 14th best start.
13th place on the splits, ahead of Beat Hefty, challenging Stulnev of Russia and Kasyanov of Russia. Can he get into the top dozen? 13th, right behind.
There's so many sleds.
Yeah. There's 20 sleds, could be in the 15 to 20 group.
Well, the start time, 14th best start, 13th best finish. Had a pretty good time. I think 7th or 8th in the four-man.
Yep.
But, you know, he's as accomplished a driver as there is in the field. If you give him a start time, he would compete in the top 5 on a weekly basis.
Not too many mistakes in that drive, and that continues to ramp up the stakes. 20th of our 30 sliders is Loic Costeg, and Vincent Castel on the back of the sled. It's a first two-man start of the season for Vincent.
Track and field athlete.
Okay.
He's going to give up a lot of time at the start, but we've seen him the last couple of weeks sneak into the top 20 in both the 2 and the 4. His driving talents will be challenged here with this deficient start time. I don't think it's because of the athleticism of the brakeman, I can tell you that. Brakeman's a good athlete. 19th best start of 20 sleds. Only Zakharov from Russia had a worse start. Something must have happened to the Russians. No way that he should have been back in 20th place at the start.
At the moment,
look at these lines.
Everybody is in the race.
Look at this. I mean, this is clean.
Yep.
3 hits, the norm. Now watch, see if he can get through the dive out of the Kreisel and go down to the chicane and see how he can do. This looks pretty good. He rocks. Nice. Good go airborne.
Still 20th in the field, though, and he's only the 20th of 30 sleds, so he's going to be back in the danger zone.
He lost a lot of time on that spot right there.
Doesn't have the speed.
Yeah, he lost 2 places in the last 150 meters. Bruno Menjon, the right, the world champion, Olympic medalist. And his brakeman on the left, Max Robert, coaching both the French and the Monegasque teams. But Loic made a big mistake down in the finish area.
So 20 sleds down. Francesco Friedrich leads from Oskars Melbardis and Nico Walter. But the real battle now is to make it into the field at the bottom of our top 20. First to go in a Swiss-built sled is Bruce Tasker with Joel Fearon.
Yeah, this is a good story here. This is a rising star. This is a person I'm putting a little money on to really jump into the world of bobsled as a driver. This is a big athlete here in the front seat for the British have really aggressively developed their push athletes into driving. 83rd best start.
Wow.
And, you know, it's just a matter of time if he keeps starting sleds like that.
Started driving last year. He was also
top
a four-man
10
brakeman.
in his first ever World Cup in Innsbruck, right?
3rd at the start. He's 5th out of the Schlangengruber.
This is a guy who'll be on the 4-man bobsled tomorrow for Great Britain as a push athlete.
The 4-man will have 4 drivers in it. Only one gets the ropes at the front. 13th place, and that's a really good exit. In a second year of sliding.
Speed, not that great. Little adjustment there. He's late here. He's going to tap. Yeah, he had some problems down there in the
19th
finish area, the Echo Valve, we call it.
And he is 19th, 50.41. He's in the race at the moment. And that is what it is all about at the moment. Learning from Bruce Tasker.
Yeah, it's okay. This is cool, man. The British have really, watch the brakeman's hands here. Looks like Joel slipped on the right. See, yeah, oh boy.
And they still had the 3rd fastest start.
Whoa. Let's hope they make the cut in the second run. I bet you they do even better. How about the pickup of our production team? We didn't see that, did we?
No, we didn't see that. Nice work in the truck. Vuk Radjenovic and Alexander Bundelo. Now, we do talk about how Marco Hubenbecker is a bit of a giant at 6'7".
Not to this guy, 6'9".
6'9", 6'10".
But he can't get any leverage here. Watch the way he comes out of the blocks here. Watch this, he barely bends over into the sled. 6'9", and, you know, Vuk, no small specimen himself.
Yeah.
These two guys can barely get in that sled. They're so big. 22nd best start. That's his nemesis. But, you know, 6'9" from Serbia. What do you think of? Basketball. No, volleyball player. I look at him, I think, come on.
No money in volleyball.
Maybe there isn't. Serbia.
22nd at the start, in 22nd place at the moment, trying to overhaul Bruce Tasker and Loic Kosteg. In fact, Kosteg is already out of the race. Tasker tied for 19 with Chris Spring. They're the ones on the bubble.
This is not going to be a sled to challenge here. Vukovic will look for the four-man. 22nd best start, 22nd best finish. Start and your finish have a lot to do with each other.
Yep. Definitely not unrelated here. If you don't have the speed in the beginning of the run, it's hard to find it elsewhere.
Can't gain time on the way down. You can only prevent yourself from losing time. And this here comes out with a skid, maybe a little bit of a hard exit. And when you skid like that in one of the two pivotal parts of the track, goggles, not many goggle guys left. Kaylee Humphreys. Here comes another one of those British stories.
Bradley Hall with Ben Simtek Simons behind him. Again, this is all part of the four-man break crew.
The British have really aggressively taken their pushmen and put them in the front seats, and I predict it'll pay off.
It's the long-term plan. Get the fast guys and try and teach them to drive. So let's see what Bradley Hall can do here for Great Britain, making his World Cup debut as a driver.
Real hard in curve one. Drifted there. You talk to the British high performance director, and he says that this is their goal 3 years ago, that they want to take their top pushmen and put them in the front seat.
That's a good exit from the Essex. Look at this. 11th place for Bradley Hall as he comes off into the Kreisel.
These guys are all great track and field athletes.
Good exit. Look at this. Bradley Hall on his debut. He's down to 18th on the split times. I'm not sure how, because he's hardly touched anything. 20th place. Well, 19th on the split. 20th speed. Is he in the race? He is in the race, but he pushes his teammates down to 20th.
They're tied for 20th.
Chris Spring and Bruce Tasker are tied for 20th. Bradley Hall broke his visor. Not sure where that happened.
Well, I think they got a chance, though.
Yeah.
Boy, the British, they're a country that really, after 2010, where they finished 6th in the four-man with great starts. John Jackson makes his, we'll see him tomorrow in the four-man. He's finally back from injury.
Yeah.
Here comes some Austrians that could surprise.
Yeah, Marcus Sammer, Angel Somov. This could be a good chance for Marcus Sommer, another former brakeman.
He'll be in the four-man tomorrow.
Yep.
Benny Mayer is who he teams up with in the four-man.
Well, we've got at least another 4 sleds with top 20 potential behind Marcus Sammer. This is
not good there, though. Good start, 12th best start, but they drifted to the right. So their start speed reflected that. It wasn't as good as it should have been.
Same deal, getting the brakeman on the front handles gives you great starts.
See if he can get some good. This isn't bad here. This is a 15th.
Exit as well. It's a really nice looking run.
This is good. If he keeps up with a good exit here in the Kreisel, he will punch out Chris Spring. And Bruce Tasker
are tied for 20th place at the moment.
We lost a lot of time there at Kreisel. No speed. I think the British and the Canadian sleds are safe again. One more. Yeah. 21st. Ooh!
That was wild, wasn't it?
Almost got on there too early, and the Austrians look on. One of their hopes is set to the locker room.
Yeah. Marcus Sammer doesn't quite make the cut. But again, it's only a matter of time.
Well, look at this into the finish curve. Now watch him get over on the left side too quickly. Gets on the take-on too quick. Watch the sled go airborne.
Yeah.
Look at the bottom right runner's airborne. And that's not the way you want to look into that finish curve.
At one stage, there's not a runner on the ice. You hit the take on so fast. Sled 25 of 30. Jan Verber's got what it takes. He could be in the top 20. Jakob Haflin behind him.
He'll give up a little time at the start, but this is a very good driver. Long-legged brakeman. Athletics background. Ooh, doesn't get in smooth. And look at the sled. The brakeman getting in caused that sled to drift left. And you do that with the exit of those start grooves, and you immediately inflect your brakes on it. It's not good. He's going to hit 2 more times. 3 more, 4 times now. He's 21st. Because of that. The exit, ooh, they like that line there.
No. Had to have a big adjustment in the middle of the
This will be okay here, but he's fallen way off the pace. That exit, the S's, the drift out of the start grooves, and then the exit of the S's.
Big steering in the Chrysler as well. That all cuts the ice.
He's a better 4-man pilot.
He always has the potential, but today he hasn't realised it.
Was that the Polish driver of the tennis ball? I think it was. Jerry Demure. Watch this. Watch the sled drift to the right. Look at the watch the brakeman. He can't get in. Look at his left foot. Watch his arms.
Caught up.
Arms aren't in cohesively. Now look at the sled. It's out of the grooves and it's drifting to the right. Look at him. He's still trying to settle himself in. Jan.
He's just been watching that replay. They're going to have to adjust their start. He's running too far, the brakeman. So Benny Meyer of Austria and Marco Rangel. Benny Meyer just 20 years old. Brother Raphael had a stunning first slide in the men's skeleton competition. Insane. 23rd start, 8th fastest at the bottom.
Second run, though, he drove the 23rd best time.
So hopefully unraveled.
Benny, pretty good in the 4-man. He's had some good results. 2-man, he's still feeling his way around. You know, the start, speed, 13th, not bad. Got a chance here. 17th best start. It's the exit is going to be so important. The essence for him.
Little early double tap.
20 and 25th in his first 2 events in Altenburg and Winterberg. And this looks a little bit. He's already out of it.
Yeah, he's going to struggle to get in from here. Even a great exit off the Kreisel.
Maybe the track just isn't giving up any more speed or any more good ice.
We've just seen too many errors all the way down that we don't see from the really top draw guys, and that's the difference.
Oh, he's close, though. He's close.
21st, at the line, he's 20th. Spring
knocked out.
and Tasker are out, and Meyer is in.
Look at here's his father on the left. Now, you got to give him credit. He was 23rd, 22nd coming out of the Kreisel. He drove himself into the bottom, into that 20th place.
By not driving. Exactly right. He flew himself into the bottom. He just went, got the line right off the Kreisel.
We sort of gave up on him in the Kreisel, and all of a sudden on the bottom part of the track, he showed us what his brother did this morning. He's got good instincts at high speed.
Well, next up, Poland's Maciej Luti. Gregor Kasakowski behind him. Luti again has got potential to be in the top 20. 2 races so far, 1 race so far this season, 17th in Altenburg. More of a driver's track than this is.
Had some concussion issues last week with some crashes in practice. Will only compete here in 2-man. The crew's a little beat up. Pretty big guy. We got in late. Look at that. That's how not to do it. He got in late, and the push bar didn't come down. And well, I don't know what he was thinking there.
Push bar didn't come down. He didn't have his hands on the D-rings either, so he wasn't steering, and the handle dragged along the wall.
These are good lines, though.
Up to 17th off a 19th fastest start.
We should give up on him yet.
I don't think so. I think the track has still got speed in it.
Well, Benny Meyer just showed us that you get rewarded with good line. This is a good line here. Watch the back end of the sled. Not too bad.
Really good.
This is pretty good.
On the bubble at the moment in 20th is Benny Meyer, who only just pushed out Spring and Tasker. 15th place. This is safe now.
This is pretty
He
good.
will make the second heat. Matthias Luthi, 14.
Look at the goal. That's a big deal for them.
Well, he may have bounced them on their head in training, but I think they just forgave him, don't you?
That shows some driver instinct right there.
Yeah.
You know, he comes down with the 19th best start, finishes 14th. And with this mistake, this isn't the way to do it, to put the push bar down on the sidewall. That's not how they teach you. And how he's still in 14th. What would he have done without that?
There's only a couple of drivers that have outdriven their start time, and he is one of them. So next up is the Czech Republic's Radek Matušek with David Egtvi behind him. And this is David's first start on the two-man.
Yeah, that's because we had some problems in training.
Yep.
Radek had 2 crashes. That is okay. I don't know about his crew.
And I know from some of the other athletes I've been talking to, that first World Cup start, they are so nervous.
It's the 28th best start out of 28 sleds. You know, when you're looking at the tap here, that's not good at that speed to not have that control of the sled. Now you go to the S's. Looks like he's late there, so you could see a skid right here too. No, he somehow managed to come out of there. 2, 3, 4. Now this is where his problems are. It was too low there. Problems here in the first training run. And he almost did it again. He learned his lesson. Good for him. He's, you know, the fact that he got down, did not have a DNF. He's got points.
Sometimes it's more important to hold it off and keep it safe than it is to let it fly and take the speed.
27th out of 28. 28th best start. But, you know, this was damage control for him.
Yep. 200 slower than Serbia at the top, and 200 faster than Serbia down at the bottom. Well, when you've had a tough week, John, getting the run in is vital, isn't it?
Yeah, too high there, and he brought it out too quick. Then down here in the Echo Vault, he's up there way above that BMW X Drive logo. You should be straddling it.
Yep. 2 to go. Dorin Grigore and Florin Quatrin for Romania. Next up, our penultimate sled.
We aren't supposed to root for anybody, but we like to root for these guys, don't we?
Well, I like to root for everybody. All these guys, whether they're first or last, are bleeding for this sport. Oh, not a good hit.
And he does lack at the start.
Florin Quatrin was off a little earlier than Dorin Grigore was. 5:08 getaway. Good run through the S's. Sets him up nicely on the bend away. Ooh, that's a good exit.
Yeah, he was late coming off there, but no variance. These are good lines.
Tap, tap. 27th, 28th. Hasn't got the speed in the sled. 111 onto the Kreisel. Down at the bottom, he's going to be 10 kilometers away from the fastest men as well.
Really above high on the Echo Vault. 22nd best speed.
It's not hitting much, but he might be having to work rather too hard for it, whatever, whether it's runner selection or a lot of work under the surface. Romania in 28th place, 29th place after Dorin Grigore, does not make the heat. So he fails to make the cut. He will join the spectators on the sidelines for our second run. And we get to our last sled, and it's a huge first as well for Norway. Last Norwegian bobsledder to drive in World Cup was Arnfinn Christensen, and he retired after the Games in 2002. Now Thomas Heibel with Alexander Vinger representing Norway.
His brother will compete with him tomorrow in the four-man. They crashed in training. Had to get some new helmets, they said. And their grandfather, German heritage, grandfather was a great bobsledder for West Germany. And their father's here. Down at the Echo Strubel, the grandfather's pictures on the wall down there, all those old pictures. So I always found that very interesting when they came in for the headshots.
That's coming home, isn't it?
Yeah, so great to have Norway here. Hope to see him stay out on tour. We want to get him to the bottom.
Yes, we do. find some speed.
Seeing the four-man, the Moto boy was early on in that class. Steady lines. Let's see a good exit here. This is where he had a problem the other day in training, and
That's neat and tidy.
pretty good.
That is neat and tidy.
Really good down the bottom part of the track.
He may not be pulling himself into the race, but this is a good-looking run from Thomas Heibel.
19th best speed at the bottom. That's pretty good.
Heibel comes across the line in 30th place.
There's his brother to the left. You'll see those guys tomorrow, the four-man, threw it down. They're here learning, looking for support.
John, after way more than a decade, Norway have bobsledders at the top flight again.
Yeah.
It's a long time away.
And they've got the passion. They've drank the Kool-Aid. Little high sitting in the sled. Somebody's going to have to teach him to get a little lower in there. He's just not that big of a guy. And this isn't the best line down the track.
Well, listen, when we were chatting with Arnfinn Christensen, he was at home at primary school. That's how long it's been since we've had a Norwegian bobsledder. Well, that is 30 sleds down. Our field is complete, and our leader is the two-man double world champion. Francesco Friedrich and Torsten Margis have swept all before them this season. And after the first heat here in Königssee, they lead for the third time this year. Can they make it a clean sweep pre-Christmas? It's hard to see who's going to stop them when they're in track record shattering form. Oscars Melbardis, Damas Dreeskensly second, Walter Hubenbecker third, and then Cripps, Peter and Arndt, they could challenge for medals definitely, but for the win, could be a two-horse race again. Well, there's your top 20. Bradley Hall, the rookie, makes it in. Bruce Tasker, Dustin for Great Britain, Nordis, Benny Meyer, Chris Spring, Lucas Steg, Verber, Sammer, Matuszek, Radovic, and the rest of them, Radjanovic, and the rest of them will be on the sidelines for our second heat. Join John Morgan and me, Martin Haven, for all the action coming up in just half an hour from now at 1400 Greenwich Mean Time, 1500 local here in Europe. Till then, auf Wiedersehen and goodbye.